started tonight's meeting with a 6 PM executive session. No decisions or actions are gonna come out of it. We're gonna start off with the general warrants with Stan.
General warrants I have right here, and they're dated 8/19 to 8/19. And for the amount of $120,924.01. And we paid, the biggest portion of this is in our nonprofits. There was $41,452, and we had previously paid, I believe, Franklin County Industrial for a little over $12,000. The only one that's missing out of our nonprofits is SAM. And that was the $15,000 the voters approved. I talked to Anna,
She's up
and
front.
she's waiting for a request from SAM. So when they give the request, we'll finish that out. The next one was for St. Albans Fire Dispatch, $19,679. AmCare, $12,071. And of course, our normal Blue Cross Blue Shield for $17,615. That's about all the big ones combined with the little tiny ones that are all into one now. And I would make a motion, unless if there's no questions, I'll make a motion to accept the warrants dated 8/19 for $120,924.01.
Any further discussion or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Now we're gonna move on to the payroll warrants with Jessica.
I have payroll warrants. The first one's dated August 9th, 2019 for $20,978.11. And the second is August 16th, 2019 for $23,075.77. So I make a motion that we approve these two warrants.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I have something to add.
I'm sorry, we do have something to add.
As the board knows, we have to replace that pump station that we talked about. We have secured a loan, we have a fixed rate for 2.4%. And I am looking for the board to sign off on it.
I got a question about that. We were told that the industrial park's gonna pay us back for that, right?
Well, no, what I'm going to do is I bill them quarterly for all the expenses in the industrial park. I bill the industries.
All right, but maybe I misunderstood something. I thought we were being paid back for the pump and putting the pump in over there.
Yeah, so all the expenses are being billed directly back to
Okay.
the
Okay,
tenants.
my question is when do we get paid back on that?
Quarterly.
Quarterly.
In this case.
So we don't get a lump sum payment then?
No, in this case, it's a 5-year loan, like previously when we did it, I think, 2004, 2007. We paid monthly then, and I billed each, industry monthly. I chose to do it yearly, so all I'm doing is 5 payments, once a year for the next 5 years, and they will be billed back in that month.
I guess I'm just a little confused as to why we're buying it, because we don't own the park.
We do own the park.
We do own parts of the infrastructure,
Parts
so
of
that's,
the
yeah,
infrastructure.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
we
that's
do
why, I
own the
mean, it's
park.
neutral, cost neutral to us, but we
Yeah.
do own
They're
those
paying
parts.
based on their water usage.
Yeah,
So if they use 1 million gallons in one quarterly period, and it gets those bills.
yeah,
And say Ben and Jerry's use 300,000 gallons out of that million gallons.
Okay.
They're gonna pay 30% of whatever they owe
Gotcha.
in
Okay.
payment.
Okay,
So it's all,
all right.
and they were all briefed on that.
Yeah.
We're actually, they seem very thankful for the help.
well, we need a pump station or it's all fail,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, there's no doubt. I was just wondering how we were getting paid back.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought it was like a lump sum.
No, I billed them,
In the future, I wonder if.
And
we
if
could-
so, I was gonna say, why are we financing it, that's all.
yeah,
In the future, going on the line of debt, like we have no debt other than the sewer bond and
that's
then,
it.
and then this. Why can't we some March decide to take a chunk out of the local option tax fund and set it aside for stuff like this. Just keep it in an
Well,
account and then
I was
use
talking
it.
with Carrie today, in previous years, gosh, I can remember every single year, just like the capital budget, we vote to put $30,000 into that. In previous years, we would always vote to put $10,000 into the industrial park, just in case we did run into a problem. That was stopped back in
2010.
2009, 10.
Like, we're charging a financial institution's charging us, and in turn the park ten is 2.4% on their money.
Right.
Like, if any, I just, we have so much, it's a $160,000 note and we've got, what, $1 million something in the LOT fund?
Yeah, so what you want is a revolving loan fund of sorts, and we can look into that to see what
Yeah, I
we
was
can
just wondering
transfer.
myself why we didn't finance it
Put
on an
200,
agreeable interest rate with them in a term.
well, put 250,000 in a fund to use for park upgrades, terms to be decided, but have the voters authorize us to create them. That way, next time we need to go to the bank, we're the bank.
I think the industrial park businesses were all on board with this because that's what they were used to previously.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and the rate's good.
Oh, yeah,
and
the rate's very
The implementation is excellent.
Yeah.
And,
I guess the long and short of it is if we got the money sitting in the bank, why aren't we making money on it?
wow,
Why
That's what
couldn't
our
we?
interest rates are for what we earn on the money we've invested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you need a motion for that?
Oh, no, just signatures.
Okay.
There's three, I've already secured the one. There's three yellow stickies for you to sign. And I thank you, that's it for me.
Yeah,
this
thank
is all
you,
through
Anna.
People's Trust.
It is.
They always give us the best rates.
Yeah, well, I did shop around. and-
Yeah, and you do every year for
That was
everything we
best.
have, right?
Yeah.
We're giving them a shout out as a local institution. They always treat us well. All good?
I'm good,
Anything else
thanks
to
for
add?
that.
Does
back to-
anybody have any questions for Anna about anything related to warrants or anything while she's here tonight? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We've already got that signed.
Yeah, you can sign it at the end.
So we just, speaking of the industrial park, I have a warrant. In the sum of $808.59, and it's for road signs, road lights, and sewage pump. For getting the thing pumped out because they have the bad.
Well, that
The
might
bad
be
pump.
electricity. That's all just the
Yeah,
electricity. to run
it's
the
not for 505, it isn't.
Yeah, that's the electricity.
Yeah, it
right?
is.
We run
Bring
about
out
700-800 every month.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, that pump runs all the time.
Okay. So, why don't I go through all three of them, we'll approve them after when I'm done with them.
Does that work for?
That work? Okay. So that was the industrial park warrant. This one is really gonna, I don't know about this one, I ain't talk about money, but that's the infrastructure development fund for $33.40. We could have made that on interest on the loan. So I'll make a motion that we approve that one. This one's a little bit bigger, folks. This one is for, it comes out of the DPW reserve that we have for equipment. And it's for $52,300. And it's for a vehicle that was purchased for 2019 Ford F-550 that was purchased from Bocan for the DPW. So make a motion that we approve this one as well.
Second.
And that's it.
We get a second, and I'm gonna do it collectively, you wanna vote. Any further questions? My only comment is the truck that we purchased, that was from an article on town meeting day, right?
Vote, yeah,
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's just seeing what
That's
you
part
voted
of
for,
it.
put in action.
that's part of.
Just trying to get it done for this season.
Right. Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, perfect. That's all we have for warrants, and we'll move on to minutes.
Move the minutes be accepted as written.
I'll second it.
This new system's working very well. I hope that Jen feels good about it.
Yeah.
Feel great.
Are you happy? Is everybody happy with the way we've been handling minutes the last couple of months?
It works. It takes a lot of time.
Thank you for reading them, getting into that. I know that they are very polished. Okay, so we have a motion and a second on the table to approve.
Minutes.
So, any further discussion? Does anybody have anything?
I thought we approved the
Did we take a vote on that? I don't think we took the.
I don't, Jessica seconded, that's it. Yeah.
Jessica seconded it, I interjected to
I'll
make
make
sure
the
everybody's
motion
happy.
that we
We already-
approve the select board minutes
We had
from our
that.
last meeting.
Al made the motion, Jessica seconded, and I just wanted to make sure that everybody's happy.
Okay, that's all we did.
So, all in favor?
They just have.
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
All right, so now we're on to the zoning administrator's reappointment. We're very happy to hear that Becky, our longtime ZA, is seeking reappointment for a term of 3 years. That's how long that term is. It would end in September of 2022. And I'll excitedly ask that someone make a motion to reappoint her to that.
So moved.
Second. All those emphatically in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, Becky.
Thank you.
No, seriously, thank you. Very happy. We're lucky to have you. I hope you know that.
I appreciate that.
Well, seriously, she said thank you.
No, I think all of you.
Yeah,
right.
Oh, this is
I
crazy.
agree with Brendan, Becky, you do a good job.
You say,
We are lucky to have you.
we don't get a chance to highlight it enough. I mean, Becky saves us legal fees. She is the most, I mean, you could put her in a title office, writing deeds and doing title research, and she'd fit right in. I mean, she is just such a multifaceted, she's the Swiss Army knife of zoning.
Oh, I like that.
We're very lucky to have you.
Stop, Frank.
Wow.
But
Wow.
seriously,
Can I quote you on that?
Yes, you can.
yes,
Okay,
every
awesome.
chance you get.
Swiss Army knife of zoning. Awesome.
Gives me some credibility. Again, thank you. So VLCT has an annual meeting.
Don't know.
VLCT has an annual business meeting, and we have to vote to appoint a delegate to vote on behalf of the town.
So I'll move that we appoint the town manager to the delegate to the LCT.
Does anybody want to go with Carrie to that? I think, did Bill go with you last year?
I believe so. I think he was supposed to. Anyone can go. You can go to any of these events and are encouraged to do so, but it's whether or not you want to go to that annual meeting and vote or not. You can still go to town fair and have
But yeah, you
people
can
vote
go,
at that.
but then just know that you're locked into either vote.
It's October 2nd, third time frame
In Killington.
in Killington this year. Yeah, so it's not, there's no quick ride.
Overnighter.
Yeah, yeah, it's not, that's a waste.
Well, maybe,
If no one else wants to go, that's fine. I was gonna go anyway.
I guess we have a motion, second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so now you get to vote on behalf of the town at the Vermont
Awesome.
League of Cities and Towns.
And so the only other
Town
homework
fair.
you'll have is when VLCT sends out their policy, which is basically a platform that they're gonna work on, try to read it and figure out if there's anything that you want changed or mentioned.
Is it
that-
interesting, Terry? Is it an interesting day, or is it just?
They have a lot of good, sessions or seminars to go.
Workshops.
They do. They have workshops throughout the day. It's nice.
And the workshops are the most interesting.
They are.
The part that we just delegated her to attend is very tedious.
Yeah, it's not the most interesting
It gets
section.
back to Robert's rules, and somebody makes this motion, the lawyer fights it with an amendment, and then back
Is
and
it
forth.
repetitive year after year?
A little bit. They tried to shorten it last
Yeah.
year some, and they did, but yeah, it's a little much.
But the actual content is really interesting.
It's true. So, yeah, that's it. I'm done. We're done with that part.
Yeah.
Number 7.
Yeah, so anybody here for public comment tonight? Do you want to make a public comment at this time? And I always try to ask, is there any member of the board that would like to make a comment as a member of the public? No? Okay, so we're gonna move on to the town manager's report.
Great, thank you. So the first item on there was the Police Advisory Committee update. So we have been trying to meet more frequently. Al is the select board member on that standing committee. So I'll defer to him to provide an update on 2 of the major things we've been talking about. One is the upcoming 5th of 5-year contract renewals for the PD contract, and the other is the mapping project that they've been working on, the St. Albans Way mapping project.
So on the first issue, the select board, the advisory committee recommends to the select board that we continue to the 5th year of the 5-year contract. to address any of the issues. And the ones that I heard was, what is Highgate to do to this? And Highgate's a 24-hour contract, not a 7-day, but whatever, it's 24/7 contract. And the chief does not feel it's going to in any way impede the services he provides the town. And so far as whether he covers all the districts that he's promised in our contract, he's got the statistical background and the computer-generated information of each patrol car and officer to demonstrate that he in fact does such a contract. So we had no complaints from anybody on the services provided to the town. And so we recommend that we continue the contract for the final year.
We've had some,
I haven't.
I have, and I've passed them on to Carrie. Carrie passed them on to the chief, so
Okay,
Correct.
they've been resolved.
I don't know.
Okay.
They're working on some of them are ongoing.
The concern that I have is I understand that the chief is still looking for other areas to expand in. And my concern is how much can he expand without disrupting the services that he provides to us? And the strength of his organization too. I don't mean the strength by strength. I mean the numbers of his organization. He's not 100% man, and he hasn't been.
So Ben Butcher is here tonight, so we can ask him a few questions.
I'm just expressing my concerns.
Okay.
So that is a major concern on my part.
Ben, could you
How
come
much
up for a
more-
moment? Any question?
How much more and how much more is the chief going to expand? How, you guys can only do so much.
So I'll let the chief answer that.
Good.
He's not here right now.
Okay.
So I'll directly speak with him. I'll definitely go back and talk with him when he gets back in the office and express your concerns.
Thank you.
And I'll make sure that he reaches out to Carrie or someone. So, as far as staffing goes, we have hired, we're up to 30 right now. Full-time. We have 5 that are in the full-time academy, 3 that are scheduled for the next full-time academy. And we still have at least 2 more recruits in the process right now.
You're working on it.
Yes.
It's an ongoing process. And could you highlight what you're doing for benefits and sign-on bonuses right now to attract new people?
Right now, we are offering up to a $10,000 sign-on bonus, depending on years of service in law enforcement. We're also offering free healthcare.
Yeah,
for
100%.
officers, 100%.
What beyond that? And you're paying competitive wages, obviously.
Yes.
Or you'd be losing who you did already have.
And we also have the option of being able to plug in new officers where they can be on benefits.
And as it applies, I thought student loan forgiveness.
Yes, student loan forgiveness.
How long does it take to put a person through the academy?
Let's see, the full-time academy just started. And they will get out roughly mid-November. And then you're probably talking maybe 2.5 months of field training before an officer is on the road. Some of them were already part-time certified that are in this academy for us. So they will be able to basically be released on when they graduate the academy.
Stanley had a question.
Ben, my concern is the amount of overtime. Last year, 225,000, something like that, spent, maintain contracts in the town and do the job in the city. And now, you're high again this year, no question about it, and your SROs are gone back to school. And the academy's gotta rush through to get you your head count. I got a major concern with the overtime. It's the job you guys have, and girls too, you have ladies. The pressure of each officer. You guys are EMTs, social workers, and trying to enforce law.
Yeah.
And when you work the overtime that the guys are working, I heard one of the young officers saying he's doubling his salary by working overtime. To me, that's not good. it's probably all right for a week, but when you continue, and it's continuous, and it has been, I'm scared. You know, the things that happened recently, it does happen when you're overtired. And it affects your home life, it affects everything, so. I am
We are
not,
working on the staffing issue.
I know that, but it looks like it's November before they come back. There's gonna be some fallout from the, I think it's just guys here right now, from your unit. So, it's gonna take more overtime, that's all I'm saying, and that concerns me.
We have hired some that are working right now that have not gone to the full-time academy yet. They're actually scheduled this winter, you know. So that also offers up some relief. I know there's a full-time certified one that we're probably gonna end up picking out here by the end of the week, hiring him full-time. So that will also help on relieving some of the overtime. We are working on it. I think everyone's working together to try to address that issue.
You got,
Ben, not only that, I looked at 4 years ago when we come up with a contract. The top end is all shifted. It's all new, you're new to that level that you currently at. Captain or Lieutenant Pogue is gone. The guys are doing a great job, no question about it. But your senior patrolman, I think I saw only one name left there from, so everybody's new and I'm concerned. So I said it, I'm not gonna say anymore.
yeah, I'll just echo Stan's concerns. The dollar amount, I'm not concerned with. It's the, I know that when you overwork people, that's when mistakes happen. And that's been proven by OSHA and VOSHA and larger companies throughout the United States. I'm just concerned of I'm more concerned for the individuals than anything else, because you guys have got to be on your toes. I mean, you've got to be fresh and alert, and I don't see how you do that after working 70 hours a week.
We're
But
definitely
you are
addressing
doing a
it.
great job.
We are definitely addressing it.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you.
It's worth noting that there's I think it's an ongoing investigation on the matter that we've kind of heard some touching on, and we're not making any official comments about that at all. Not in our wheelhouse.
So let's move on.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you.
So the second item that I've been asked to talk about is the police marine division. People wanted, that's what we started off with, do we need a marine division? And in talking with different people in the last year of the board, basically appointed Admiral Ham and myself to look at a motor safety policy for the bay. So working with Admiral Ham and talking with several people, and we have come up with this policy which I just handed out to you. Basically, what we're looking for now is basically an idea, a sense of consensus, or your consensus, that we can move forward on this conceptual plan. The conceptual plan itself is basically a shell that is very, very non-regulatory, non-cumbersome, but it gives the town, with an ordinance, will give the town the opportunity, if you will, to attach subdivisions to that ordinance when and if we see problems developing in the bay, or when people who live on the bay develop it. So we had a long talk with a property owner here by the name of Mr. Hathaway, who owns a great deal of property at the end of Hathaway Point. And he gave us some very excellent ideas and suggestions about how we address the policy of anchoring or mooring. And so what we have come up with is what I think, and I'm sure, I know there are people in the public who want to address this, but a very simplistic system. The first idea is to restrict the anchorage 100 feet off the shoreline, and reserve that first 100 feet to the property owners so that they can moor their own boats. And outside that 100 feet area, then other boats can anchor. But we're suggesting as a start to discussions that we basically have 2 or 3 anchorage areas, one being off the boating access area, state boating access area at the curve, and then another one in front of the town dock and marina, so that, with a passageway to both. So basically, that's what we're recommending. Now, you'll see communications, one of the things that we don't have at this point in time and need to is to be able to have people have on the radio, on their boats, radios, they will probably all have access to Channel 16, which is an emergency built system back to the Coast Guard. What we would like is to have a channel just for St. Albans Bay, so people can use that channel to find out what's available in town, what things to do, where to dock and anchor and so forth, call for help, what have you. So that's the first thing. We also recommend very simply, but it's all mostly state law also, watercraft speeds, anchoring areas 5 knots, using common sense, no weight in the anchoring areas, and also asking jet boats to not operate at full speed. I think all simple, reasonable, courteous things. As mentioned, the anchoring areas, holding tanks is by state law. You have to have it pumped out at a marina, which the St. Albans Bay Marina has that capacity. And then we are recommending that we look at a harbor master, and I've outlined the duties of the harbor master. And just for the public's point of view is that he's the point of contact for all questions about boating activities in the bay. He maintains all the charts that I will show you in a minute for the bay and where you can anchor. What's available in terms of being on the shore, eating places, transportation up to the city. That person will also maintain close contact with the United States Coast Guard so that we're aware of any issues that are occurring, what have you. Keep track of boaters who are going to stay in the bay for a long period of time, I guess, like vacationing, but so that we're aware that they're there. We should maintain a VHF radio operation so that we know if people call for help, we can respond. Make periodic checks of the bay to make sure that everything's okay, and keep close touch with the town manager so she's aware of what's happening in the bay. So these are the very broad outlines that we think are important in establishing, first of all, a policy, and then moving on to an ordinance to look to the present, but more importantly to the future for boating in our bay, which we anticipate will grow with 2 reasons. One, because of the marina, and secondly, because hopefully we will see results of the water being cleaned up as we move with the clean water initiatives that are occurring. So, working with the Regional Planning Commission, I was able to use a Coast Guard approved chart to magnify St. Albans Bay. And what we've been able to do is not only do we have the depth of the bay, but also we have the position of all the houses around the bay. So again, remember I said we wanted to reserve the 100 feet from the houses into the water line so that those houses could both park their own or anchor their own boats. See, I'm a landlubber. But anchor their own boats in front of their homes, and then the visitors to the bay would be restricted to the 100 feet beyond. And what we're proposing is 2 places to designate, right here off the State Marina, a place in here for anchorage, and another place outside the pier over here. And that's what we would propose that you all think about. So I'll answer any questions that you may have. Yes, one.
Let me add that Al addressed that this is a conceptual plan. It's a plan that can be added to, subtracted, whatever it is. And approval of, say this now, does not cost the city anything. We would walk into that as things develop. So the idea is that at least we have addressed the potential capability with the Beta Support Marina. And so when the different problems come up, the committee can make a recommendation to you that we do this or change this, but that's the concept. And no expense right now, we walk into it.
A harbor master, conceptual,
Yeah.
is that a full-time equivalent?
We haven't really thought about that. One of the things that we would like to explore, and the Admiral believes that there are some retired chief petty officers who have this experience and knowledge, who might be wanting to volunteer, because it's a summer job. And if not, I don't think it would cost that much more money to do, to employ such a person. I think and you'll see in your package, I have tried to contact the marina. I would hope that they would join with us, because they're in operation 24/7. And so somebody there having a radio could handle most of this issues. I wouldn't tie the harbor master to the marina, but at least so far as answering the radio, being able to call for help, what have you, would be a benefit to both of us, to both the town and the marina.
There's a publication, Cruising Guide, the Hudson River, Lake Champlain, and St. Lawrence River. And in it, it has every single marina, and you'd have St. Albans and then the marina. And this would be publicity for St. Albans. It's a win-win thing, but the word's gotta get out.
Right. And so I bought a copy of that book, so we'll have it here as part of our collection of information. And when we start working with the marina and you all approve something, we will go to the Coast Guard and get designated areas onto the official NOAA maps. So it will then work its way into that book, and it can provide access to information to a whole lot of people that use Lake Champlain as a recreational place. Water recreation.
What does the harbor master need for equipment to perform his job?
He would only need a boat and a radio, VHF, the channel 16 or whatever, and the other channel. And that's it, in common sense.
But you originally said it wasn't costing the town anything, and now we have to hire a harbor master.
Didn't say anything about a hire. Al mentioned, I mean, there's guys like me, for God's sakes, 41 years in the Navy, I jump through hoops to get a job fooling around with boats. And there are dedicated people. Don't be cynic. There are dedicated people. But once again, we would govern whatever the expense it might be. X number of dollars a month, I don't know, do this, do that. If we didn't have the money, we wouldn't do it.
Well, where's the money right now?
What?
Where is the money?
I ain't even thought about money. Well, don't even think about it. When we get to that point, then let's address it.
Well, the first step was the map, right? And so
Yeah.
that is the part I think that we was talking about.
concept.
Didn't cost money.
I like the idea of designating the first 100 feet for people. They pay a lot of property tax, the quality of their, okay, John?
So here's an example with 100 feet, like the people off the development, Hathaway Shores
Yeah.
develop halfway down.
They do there.
They got it right away there. So if you say 100 feet, where are they gonna put all their boats in 100 feet?
And as we get experience, that could change. The idea is to get the concept approved so we can then work out the details. Hell, the details can change every month if necessary.
And we're not trying to lock anything in cement, or however you want to phrase it. It's much like, if you will, a policy. You can change a policy just by talking about it, notifying the public, and then changing your particular policy. Think of it in terms of a very amendable concept. We all start off with an idea. As we explore that idea, we change our positions on it, we grow, and so forth. This is just an intellectual process to get
Well, it's an attempt
things
to
going.
it's an attempt to get folks with knowledge and capability,
Right.
the Admiral, in with people like us to be proactive, to think about what we're gonna, where do we end up? We just built the marina, we didn't, somebody built the marina. That's 156 or so boats in that marina that weren't there 3 years ago.
Still weren't there.
Well, we hope it fills, right?
Never gonna happen.
I hope you're wrong. Wouldn't be the first.
How old's that map?
We have,
I don't know how, I don't know.
This map,
Yeah.
I got it just,
No, how old is it? When was it made? Water depths and that stuff.
that's the official NOAA map.
The chart.
Sorry, excuse me.
Still has,
call it the right thing.
still has to have it.
Sorry.
Okay, Jessica?
I have two comments. The first is about the volunteers. So my husband's active duty. We stayed at Great Pond in Maine, which is a military vacation place. And there was a retired Air Force man there who was happy to keep an eye on their lake. He gave pontoon boat tours. They helped clean the bathrooms even, just to be able to leave his RV there for the season. So I do agree. I think there's people out there who, especially
Believe
retired
me, I got enough
military,
experience.
who would love
There
to
are.
spend a summer on the bay doing some sort of volunteer work. And my second idea is that I just went to this Vermont Community Leadership Summit, and there were all sorts of small towns of Vermont talking about how they got a village designation. And when they did that, it opened up all sorts of grants for them. And to me, the bay, it has all the elements you need to make a designated village. And there's lots to talk about around that. But if that was something we wanted to pursue, perhaps there'd be grant money for this sort of project too down the road.
See, I'm on the downtown development board on the state level. I was appointed by the governor. And you're right. That's one place where we're missing a boat. And then we got the bay, and we've also got the north end of town. That if by not exploring it, we're being a little selfish because it opens the possibilities to a lot of things with property owners, where they can get tax incentives and so forth. And I think that's something we should very seriously consider.
I agree with both of you. We have to look to the future.
Absolutely.
And we have
And
to
so what
plan
I'd like
for
to
that.
do is, I'm gonna invite a member of the board to one of our meetings to discuss it further. I'm a member of the board, but a full-time employee
Right.
of development, downtown development.
Please do.
Yeah. And I met someone at the conference who works with a lot of these grants and village designations and said he'd be happy to come up and walk the bay with us and talk about the different options, so.
Yeah, well, there are now 176 designated downtown areas in the state of Vermont, and growing. Every meeting I go to, we approve one or two more. The first meeting I went to, we approved 13 of them in one meeting. And it's something that it's something very valuable that we're overlooking.
How long does the process take for a study?
It's a little bit lengthy. I mean, there's a lot of things you have to do. You gotta map the areas. There's quite a bit to be done. But that's why I'd like to bring in one of the experts from Montpelier to one of our meetings to explain that to us. Because I think that once the word gets out, we've got a lot of business people out there that would be very interested in some of the options that are available to them.
Yeah, please do. As soon as you can get somebody here. As soon as you can get somebody, we will have time on the agenda for it.
so what are you looking forward
We'll
to?
do a special meeting if we have to. Yeah, that's important.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it opens up grants for bike ped, for
Everything.
historic restoration, maybe
Storefronts,
stone
they got
house.
storefront grants for renovating storefronts. I mean, we talked about the shopping center that we have here and how it's not really looking all that great, you know? There's some grant money there on the north end of town.
That'd be,
Can, Chair, Mr. Chair?
yes. We have a question from the audience.
Yeah, one question. I grew up down here. A lot of what he's saying has been there for a long time. When we moved down here in 1958, my parents,
there was a restriction on how far you could put anything out in the lake, in the bay. So that's been there. It was open back then. The lake was clean. Amazing thing. And then they had the Bay Association because once a year we'd get 2 weeks, maybe the most, of green algae. Didn't smell good, went away. They have the big fets, I don't know, because state used to have the park down here. We used to take swimming lessons. Whether the water was green or not, we were out there swimming, taking lessons.
Okay.
Didn't bother us. When they started throwing in copper sulfate to get rid of the algae, the more they put in, the more we got algae. And the weeds showed up. They got weed harvested. The more they harvested, the thicker the weeds got. I got an article at home. It was in the Burlington Free Press about 3 years ago. All about the weeds. Weed harvesting is not the way. The more boats you put out there, the worse it's gonna get.
Let's look at the future.
Well, you look at the future.
So we had and I don't know if you're aware, we had the governor in town last Thursday to sign, well, I'm talking Thursday. He ceremoniously signed Act 76 into law, which opens up at least $50 to $60 million per year for 20 years out of the state's pocket by leveraging $20 million in debt, taking about $55 million a year. And they're going to put it into clean water in Vermont. We have never, in our history as a state, to my knowledge, invested nearly that much money in clean water. It seems to be the first time in our state's history that we decided to pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps. And that, in turn, satisfies a major EPA check to be able to receive more federal grant funding for clean water. So I'm going to say, I've heard the same from a lot of people. It's only gotten worse as time has gone on, but we're working on it. So that's, how does this all relate into what we're talking about, I guess is my question.
Well, like I said before, we've got multiple, 2 towns in Old Lake, St. Albans Bay, how you gonna control that? You don't need moorings. What do we need them for? There's no place to park, there's no place for anybody to go. There's no parking for all these boats we're gonna have.
Well,
The boats are coming whether we want them or not, period.
This is true.
I think we will address those issues as they arise. And I think what we need to do now is to hopefully achieve a consensus to allow Admiral Ham and myself to move forward, going to proposing anchorage areas and these rules to the Coast Guard to get their feedback and eventually certifying that as what we want to do for the bay.
I think I've said this before, but I look at the bay out here, and I think of the bay as undeveloped land, like much like a development.
Like a beautiful pasture.
And when the marina comes in, which it's now in, you're going to see growth out there, just like you would if you put in, a shopping center or something like that. People start moving in. It's just going to get busier out there, and I honestly believe that future planning. I mean, we'd have our heads stuck in the sand if we weren't thinking about future planning for sure.
That's the idea of this,
Yeah.
to be ready.
Alan?
What?
I love thinking about the future and everything, but anybody along the lake can put in a mooring right now, as long as you go by the Vermont state mooring laws. So if someone already out there has a boat, they would have a mooring in front of their place. But no, we're going to designate the mooring.
I mean, I'd say anchorage, and I didn't talk about moorings. If we went to moorings, we would obviously grandfather everything that exists. So that.
You can't just have an anchoring without a mooring.
Yes, you can. Throw in an anchor. What's a mooring is where it's something permanently fixed on the bottom of the lake with a float that you attach.
But as it is right now, you can anchor anywhere in the lake without being
We're saying with
designated.
increased boat traffic, now we have to start thinking of where is a safe place to put these boats while they're visiting the harbor overnight, the bay overnight.
We go out and pick up all the mooring, buoy, you know?
I said I said we were gonna grandfather them. In other words, they can stay where they are.
Snowmobilers out there all winter.
Pardon?
We got snowmobiles out there. You gonna put lights on them or what?
No.
Snowmobiles. What's that got to do with boats?
You're putting moorings out there with buoys. They're gonna stick up out of the ice.
No, you
They're
don't.
a hazard for snowmobilers.
No. You don't leave the moorings there all year, you let them go down.
So we're gonna pay somebody to go out and take all them out.
So the difference between anchoring and mooring is anchoring is when you come in to, you're gonna come in to have a meal.
Transient.
Correct?
Just dropping an anchor.
So mooring is something that you do on a more permanent basis.
That's what we have areas, isn't it?
Yeah.
You wanna have designated parking areas for transient
That's
visitors.
normal, yeah.
And you wanna have the first 100 feet away from the shoreline for property owners only.
Correct.
And also, if you will, for noise, whatever else that might be occur from
You
a
can hear it.
boat nearby.
I was thinking more along the lines of protecting property.
It is to do, that's the
I
primary.
don't know, what do we,
I mean, all of this would be proposed to this, to you, to the select board.
right,
Whatever we come up with.
The select board proposed to you
Just come up with something, and,
back in January,
you know,
be allocated $15,000, and you were gonna form a committee back in January. The committee's never been formed. The money now is passed because we're in a different fiscal year. And now you're,
you know, if you remember, Stan, there was a whole lot of criticism about that $15,000.
it was not,
Yes, there was. I was here taking some of that abuse. The chair then, at that time, said, we will just move to Al, and Abraham will figure out something. We have not expanded this committee. I was relying on, I do the gopher, I rely on Abraham's knowledge of marine ways and use of boats and watercraft to come up with a shell for what we think the town would be well served by. We're not asking for money at this point, although I have laid out $200 to get these maps and charts in the book. I'm not complaining about that. What I'm saying is that we haven't spent a nickel of the town's money in this concept yet. What we're looking for today or tonight is to say, okay, we see what you've done, proceed going forward to talk to the Coast Guard, and that we think the 100-foot safe zone is a good idea. We also agree that we should have designated anchoring areas, and let us move forward.
we have somebody, I wanna hear from somebody who's been in the Bay a lot, who lives down in the area, small kids. We've got Jonathan here, who's the Police Advisory Board now in the DRB. Now, can you shed a little light for my sake on what this 100 feet would mean to somebody that lived in the area? Like, what is your thought on that? Advise me.
I don't know, I think it just takes away from everybody's right as owning part of Lake Champlain myself. Now you're saying you can't, you're taking 100 feet of it? That's my opinion of it. I mean,
Like, when would you use that 100 feet now? Like, what's an application for that 100
I mean,
feet?
wow, not as much as in the bay I would use it, but other spots like Burton's Island, you can pull up on the island, here and there.
We're not governing that area, we're not talking about.
I realize that, but I'm just using that as an
To
example.
what we're proposing.
I'm just
Some people could be pulling up in the
I want to
bay.
hear, I want to hear if this is like, do we have fishermen who have spots that are within the 100 feet that they like to access? Would that be part of this? I want to hear if there's a real-time application that would be disallowed under this idea. I personally hear 100 feet for property owners and noise, and I hear property owners are having their rights protected by having the first 100 feet to themselves because they live on the lake, they're paying the property taxes. And that to me seems like a good idea, but I'm not a boater. I don't know anything about boats, I don't fish on a boat, I haven't been on a boat on Lake Champlain in 3 years. So me personally, I know that he's someone who is on a couple of our volunteer boards and committees, and I just wanted to hear, is there a real-time use of the bay that would be disallowed with that 100 feet? That's all.
I don't disagree with you. What I'm saying is, let's keep the discussion to within the parameters of what we're proposing.
Right.
We did not go out beyond the bay to
Right,
Burton's
but he's
Island or
just
to
talking,
Watkins
he's
Bay.
just talking out loud and trying to.
Let's keep to the
disseminate.
facts.
Well, it's not like I had asked for a prepared statement either, so you gotta give people a little leeway.
No,
Well, I'm just, so we, in that 100 feet, you have no other boats allowed there or just.
Yes, any boat, yes.
You can get in and
I'm
out.
fishing, who
And
cares?
100 feet was just a number. That could change if we wanted it.
But what would be
Within that
allowed?
100 feet, the owners plural, could drop the hook anywhere or moor anywhere they wanted. There's no restriction.
And you define that as your property boundaries out 100 feet line, there's your parking area? Or do you define it as everybody that owns property on the bay can park within 100 feet on any part of the frontage?
Well, the reason that was, that's a lot of visiting boats. My friend Gould Suster, boats would drop the hook off at his camp, or house, and they'd have a party, and live it up and all that kind of stuff. And it got annoying. So we're saying, no transient boat can drop the hook 100 feet in front of somebody's house or camp. We have the designated anchorage areas where they couldn't do that.
Okay. That doesn't sound unreasonable.
At the same time, if you're not staying there, not fishing, that's permitted.
No, you don't.
Fishing anytime, anywhere.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know, I mean, maybe we could have, would it make sense for an organization like LCI to review this and provide us with comments? I just wanna make sure that we hit every facet. And I'm not trying to discredit anybody's work or expertise
I don't
either.
have any problem asking for the reviews.
People from the bay, get them in
Yeah.
here, see what they say. They wanna be
I think
effective
it's something
there.
new that
If
just
anybody.
came up, you know, like it's something new that you've just presented to us tonight. And hopefully through Channel 16 and stuff, people are watching and they're taking this in. I'd like to hear something from the landowners or the people that live on the lake here in the bay.
They should see the proposal first.
Right,
Then, I mean, you're talking hypothetical things here.
right.
Let the committee come up with a proposal, and then let's
Present it publicly.
go to it, huh?
Could we take what you've written here and maybe put it in the paper for people to read?
Yeah.
And then comment on it? I mean, how much fairer could you get?
Yeah, there's no timeline, we're more than willing to.
Yeah,
This can turn
I think you
into-
guys have done a lot of work
It was getting
and
to
you covered a lot,
move forward,
but I'd like, let's put this in the paper
right, have a copy
and let
for.
the people that own that property have a voice.
Well, let us write the article then,
Yeah,
but make sure all the facts are correct.
what do you think, Brendan?
Well, I think we disseminate as much information as possible to people that would be affected, and then we have a special meeting and invite as many people as we can think of to provide us with commentary. That's all.
Well, if we were to put it in the paper, they'd have something to read and think about before
Well-
they came to the meeting though.
How, I guess it would have to be more than just the paper. You know what I mean?
Put it online,
Put it on the
Town website.
put it on the town website,
Facebook.
put it in the messenger.
We could look at a similar.
Print it, have people welcome, have people stop by here and pick it up.
Well, it's
Take it home
not
and read
hard,
it.
okay, speaking of the politician in me coming out, it's not hard to literature drop an entire community.
No.
It's not hard to walk around and put something, newspaper receptacles on the front doors. There are kids out that would do that.
You volunteering?
No, well, yes, I just agreed to do a weight loss challenge with a few other younger, huskier men such as myself. We agreed $200 a piece for the 5 of us, and if we don't lose a collective 100 pounds, it all goes to charity. So we've got some real goals. So yeah, maybe I will go for a walk.
So what did you say to Anna tonight? She was a what? What did you call, what was it?
Becky,
Becky.
she's the Swiss Army knife with zoning.
Oh, you're the cuckoo in our clock.
Thank you.
Can you read this right here? This is from our select board meeting. Back in January, we went right back to where we were. Believe it or not. Al Roselle said he would get together a group of people who live at the lake, the boaters and all, and that's right back where we are now, so. We
Well, this was these,
should have done that back in January, and we probably would be done today.
the way that we went about it in January culminated with the work that we have here. And we have to recognize that we had a select board member and a member of the community with some serious expertise, and I'm sure they both had better things that they could have been doing that would serve themselves a little bit better than our community. And they put a lot of work into developing what we have in front of us, and I think now would be a good time to start to disseminate it and get feedback.
Sometimes it's easier for people to react to something that they've read than to have a big group coming up with
Right.
something, so to tap into the expertise is
And
a huge
Put this
asset for
out,
us.
this is the perfect point to put this out, take feedback, and then take it into the next phase.
That's
Put
what I
the
said,
feedback.
that's what
all.
we said,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so why
I
don't,
mean, we spend way too much time dwelling on the past.
Right.
Let's get with the program and get something
into
going.
the future, right? Okay, we got one public comment.
Let's go back to the original. When this all started, when the town took over the park, put it on the ballot in March. To the people of the St. Albans town, want this looking like Mallett Bay. It went down. The next time it came up, it went down. The third time it came up, it went down.
I think, can we agree on something going forward? Let's try that.
Yeah, let's try to cap this up, so
Yeah.
let me work with Carrie to figure out what the most efficient way to get this out to people who live in the bay is. Whether it's a piece of, whether it's a postcard sent in the mail, inviting them to a hearing, with information where to find this online or in person.
Well, let's get it on our website to begin with, because there's a lot of people look at our website. And let's come up with a date and time as to when we'll hold a meeting for those people to come. I mean, let's just get something in,
We're gonna need until probably the end of September before you can act.
Yeah, I think what you're suggesting is probably take into October. Let me just summarize what I think I've heard. The first is that we need to disseminate this information multiple methods. Secondly, I heard from Abraham that we should add a letter to this explanation to help clarify any points that we've already heard about are available. That were not discussed here, but
Such
raise
as the
questions.
idea of having a volunteer harbor master.
Right.
Okay, yep.
So we can write a letter to accompany this document, to go into the paper, to all the other media. Second thing I heard was somebody saying, go to LCI. I don't mind contacting them, I know some of the people.
Well, if we have a hearing,
We can also, Abraham and I have talked to a lake person who knows multiple people on the lake that are summer visitors as well as year-round guests. We can certainly talk to them and talk to him to invite, whenever we have this meeting, to give us give the public feedback on the environment of the lake, the bay, what they see as important for the future. And I don't know if we're missing anything else.
I think on the handout, the problem, stated problem, that's a good introduction. I mean, gives the purpose of what we're trying to do. And people can,
so let me read it out loud because I do agree with that. With the addition of a marina in St. Albans Bay, marine activity will increase. Yep. Currently, there is no plan to handle an increase in boating activity in an organized manner. Yep. The following plan addresses the issue by outlining a very basic concept that can be implemented in stages and added to as appropriate. The following recommendations are recommended to assure the town is prepared for it. That's a pretty good mission statement, or a problem, so let's, yeah, you're right in your recap.
We're gonna move on to the next thing.
I think it
All right.
warrants the time that we want to put into it, because we're talking about one of the most precious assets this town has, is that bay.
Okay, so we're gonna move on. Got a plan? All right. The next item under the town manager report was the parks ordinance. Another short topic, but, so the parks ordinance we've discussed at length. having to do with a couple of different housekeeping items as well as hunting. I think there was consensus to continue allowing hunting, to advise about wearing orange for safety reasons, and both Al and Stan have provided feedback on the copies that are in your packets. I hesitate to say it's ready for approval, but I think.
No, we got some minor changes.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I thought. I do have, some of these things where I put question marks was really from
input.
my clarification. I wasn't sure what the board wanted, or what the community wanted.
So you want to go over those this time? You want to send an email out and get comment back out?
Which would be easier for you? Probably email, I think, to be able to get it back and collect it.
Just can go right now, Al, just
Yeah,
go whatever, the first one, and I've got 4 corrections, I don't know how many you have.
I have a lot, but simple things like Superior Court changing the capital S, capital C, I don't think we need to go over.
right.
There was a question on 5.9, any town employee, I personally think that should be struck. I'll leave that up to you. Because
Well,
first it goes, my reason I say this is because, or such other persons appointed by the town manager. Again, this is for control and accountability. Theoretically, if I were,
Employees over at the park, if they see something, they should be able to say,
then we should say park employee,
yeah.
town employee.
What about
Well, they're a
Department of
town
Public Works?
employee, aren't they, temporary?
What about Public Works?
Yeah, that's fine. Just, I think town employee is too broad.
Well, who else other than Department of
Well,
Public Works and then Parks would be down there?
Well, Becky could go out and say,
Well, if
Don't
she
know
saw
that.
something that was totally wrong, I would expect anybody to do it.
Well, if she was, yeah,
okay, that's fine, that's fine. If you want that, I don't have any problem, I'm just raising the questions.
okay.
5.11.
Yep.
Any child, young person under the age of 18, later on, we talked about being able to rent the facility or sign a contract. We say specifically at age 18. Bear in mind, age 16 is age of consent, age 21 is the age where you can buy alcohol, age 18 is majority, or where you can vote. So I say, let's just say anybody under 18 is
it's a minor.
a minor.
Yeah, by definition.
Okay.
By law.
On 5.19, I would add at the very end, the whole thing, or vaping. From my point of view, there's a lot of confusion between vaping and smoking, and I think you have to just specify vaping as well as smoking. Same way with 5.20, electronic devices for vaping. 5.21, adopt publicly owned buildings, facilities, and the town forest. If anybody has any objections to those.
That's a good one.
Opening and closing times. There was a discussion about Labor Day, whether or not we should close at Labor Day or go beyond Labor Day. So I just raised the question. I don't know what people want.
Well, that's all weather dependent though, you know?
Why can't we have all the parks open by the same terms of the town forest?
Well, one of the things asked at one of the last meetings was how much does it cost for us to do that? So in other words, I don't know that Alan has a number for that, but how much does it cost if we change it from Labor Day to October 1st, for instance?
Well, you'd have to keep employees there, right?
Right.
You have to have some level of.
Well, at least your
Yeah.
park supervisor.
Isn't most of your part-time help, aren't they students?
A lot of them are, yeah, and
So
that's
they
part
would
of our
have to
challenge.
be back to school.
But the park supervisor, isn't it?
We gotta be careful when we say closed. When it's closed, then I think there's another portion in there. Police officers or town enforcement, people can say, get out of here. But we had people walking before Memorial Day and after Memorial
Oh,
Day.
we invited them, like,
What we should say, the park will remain open, but there is no restroom facilities
Limited.
or water.
Beyond Labor Day, you have
And-
limited use to
Right.
be, like, you should be able to go on the basketball courts in the middle of October. You should be able to do that. But it shouldn't be a violation of an ordinance to do
Right.
that. This is along the same lines of what we took up back in 2017, that the no dogs in the park. It just seemed like such a common sense change, and we were all worried about what were the costs gonna be, what is it gonna work, and look, it's,
Well, but the challenge is it's not totally without problems. I mean, part of
Well,
our
of
challenge
course.
is that people walk their dogs all year round, and some of the issues I've heard complaints on is we weren't emptying the dog, I guess,
Might we
the
have
dog
to-
poo receptacles fast enough, and we didn't have enough staff to do it as frequently as they wanted. So it will cost us a little bit of money over time to change that.
are you talking,
Couldn't we say after a certain date that people are responsible for that themselves?
pull the receptacles?
Um,
After Labor first, pull them. After Labor Day, pull them.
well, I don't know.
If you're that nervous about it, bring it back. Like,
I would just reverse
I
it,
don't
in terms of opening and closing times, between Labor Day and Memorial Day, the park is, then back to your concept.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've gotta, I think the gates should be open, parking allowed, but I don't think we should have any more than that. I don't think the bathroom should be open,
You know,
and I don't think.
Yeah, they can't be really,
Right,
not insulated.
but I'm saying like,
So what do we have to offer other than the bathrooms?
look, the walking path, the
I
basketball
mean,
courts,
for
the playground,
empty
the
stuff, that's it.
softball fields.
Largely, that's it, and trash.
Well, why can't it be,
But then you got trash removal, right, that you're gonna have to worry about, so we do, just don't put any
Well, the
receptacles out.
Well, that's a problem,
Then it's on the ground.
yeah.
I mean, why can't it be, which shall be closed immediately following the first snowfall and shall be open the following spring? Why can't Cohen Park and the Bay Park be like that? Even if it costs us 20 grand a year.
you can't do that at the park, man.
What?
Not at the town forest. Sometimes snows during November.
Right, so that's gotta be fixed. But
So-
take what that was and apply it to the two parks, and then come up with whatever language we would need to keep the keep the forest open during the snowfall, allowing people up there to hunt, but also telling them that we aren't maintaining a road, and if they get stuck, it's not our fault.
What we don't want is people there after hours, and that's from sunrise to sunset.
And why don't we just keep them all to the regular schedule?
That's correct. Well, that's what everybody always gets back on. We hear from people from the community that say, why do you close these parks on Labor Day when you could use them for another month or two? And then we always come here and we talk about it amongst the group, and we identify all these little insignificant issues that all together add up to a headache that could be solved, and then it always ends with us all agreeing, well, why don't we just leave it the way it is? I don't wanna do that anymore. I wanna make it the way that it should be. We should have it open in a limited capacity.
In the winter,
'Cause
it's
people are-
open.
What do you think? We're paying, what, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 grand a year in property taxes? And there are a few things that we get.
Wait. We're not paying that much, that's going to education, we're paying 36
I know, but
cents
you
per
get a
100.
property tax bill.
So the big issue
Okay,
of the
guys.
bay is the garbage. Couldn't we
I
just
don't
put
know.
in a sign up, like, during these months, please pack out your trash?
It's not always gonna work.
No, but.
Why can't we
If I
use,
saw it, I'd bring my trash.
We should encourage it, that's what state parks do.
Well, why can't we like utilize,
Why can't we follow the same lead as the state parks?
The state closes on Labor Day.
Pardon me?
We do follow the same
We do,
lead as the state
right now.
park. My park supervisor stays usually until October 1st, maybe a little into it. What if we just leave the Bay Park open until October 1st? Shut the bathrooms down in Cohen. Park's still available, the gates can stay open, there's nothing down there we gotta worry about. But let the Stonehouse stay open till October 1st. That way people have the park that has the basketball court, the walking path and whatnot. The town forest still has to be when snow falls. I mean, we run into this in the wintertime because I open up the gates to the park for fishing,
Ice fishing.
for ice fishing, so, I mean, is it a real big deal that we're locking the gates? I mean, most of the winter I leave them wide open for the fishermen. But I think I don't have the staffing during the fall after the kids go back to college and whatnot, but I do have the park supervisor, so if we shut down Cohen is taking quite a bit of responsibility because he still mows into the fall and does other projects, at least leave the bay part where people can still utilize it on nice days.
Well, what we don't want is an ordinance where somebody can be arrested for walking in the park.
It's,
I think we have that now. I don't think it's not a prohibited
It
activity.
says the park is closed.
It does.
I mean, for closed, the law enforcement.
Right, that's why I'm saying, like, I don't want that anymore.
I don't want that.
I don't want that.
because we do have people walking by 6
You're right.
a.m. at the bay part.
And we get a foot of snow on the ground, and before you could even realistically get somebody in a piece of equipment to plow it off that walking path, it's packed because people are walking on it in the middle of winter. Why restrict that? Go be healthy if you want, but the liability is yours if you fall down. Just like going through our park to get to the ice to fish, it's the same thing.
Well, I like the way this line about the town forest is phrased. The town forest shall be officially closed immediately following the first snowfall. But vehicle access is prohibited, but it's accessible to people during daylight hours for walking, snowshoeing, skiing. That seems very common sense.
Apply that everywhere.
For all parks.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still,
Give people more value. Give people more value, that's all.
Instead of the town forest, say the town parks.
There you go.
Yeah.
More opportunity to bring your kid down to play in the park in a nice fall day. Why not? Bob,
Yeah, well, I go down to State Park most of the winter, I go out fishing. It's open all winter. They close it at night. They put 2 porta potties down there, 1 at each access.
we wouldn't even really have that either.
They've got 2 of the dumpsters parked in their thing for trash. They usually dump them in the spring. Or they put whatever gets in there.
We'll figure out, if we run into.
Carmine's open.
I say we do it now. The ordinance won't be in effect by Labor Day, even if we approved it at our next
Right,
meeting, it
that's
wouldn't take effect till next year. But put it into practice the best you can, and then develop any issues, and then I would think that by, if not this year's budget season, definitely the next, we've identified enough problems to figure out, maybe we need to keep another part-timer on, or maybe we need to budget another $4,000 in labor and benefits to keep the park supervisor on until November 1st, or maybe we need to budget $1,200 a year for Casellas. I don't know, whatever it takes. I mean, we're stepping over quarters to pick up pennies. It's not smart. That's all.
Okay. I think Jessica came up with good ideas.
So,
Yes.
on
Very good.
6.1, the one that Jessica just
Yes.
talked about. However, the forest will be accessible and snowshoeing, slide, and put a hunting in there and skiing. Just so that we had hunting, people are allowed to know they're allowed.
Includes
At the very
hunting.
end of that.
Huh?
That concept, I can move it forward, but I also put that in the very end of the
Yes,
Section
ordinance.
9.
right, right.
So I just thought
But it's good right there too.
I can do it, put it there.
Yeah,
no
good.
problem.
Okay.
So 6.11, I just took out the town manager in terms of constantly interrupting her to give express permissions for various things. It's up to the town manager whether she wants to do it versus the director of public works. Activities shall be unlawful, and I added and prohibited.
What section are you on?
6.4.
Oh, right, yes.
Okay.
6.45, I dropped used in those receptacles and deposited in sinks, toilets.
That's
6.48, hunting, carrying, or discharging any firearm or explosive of any kind, including fireworks, in town parks, except as noted below in the town forest during the state designated hunting seasons. Again, just say, distributing of handbills and things, this to me was a First Amendment issue, that's why I left it just for the town manager. Carrying or bringing glass containers, including beer bottles, into any park or the forest. I keep adding the forest because I do conceptually differentiate it from parks. I'm not quite sure that's logical, but I do.
I think my question, I see the change you made on 6.4.14.
6.4.14.
The added manager. should we just reference our own best assemblages and festival ordinance? Like what, is that what it is within that ordinance?
We probably should reference the assemblages ordinance,
I'm just
because
thinking-
then we have it explains numbers and when it gets triggered.
That's all, just so they all interact.
Okay, so what was that? Assemblage ordinance?
Refer to the assemblages ordinance in 6.4.4. And whatever triggers it gets triggered.
Okay. Um, 6.417, just adding out, making it a gerund as opposed to a verb.
Where are you?
6.4.17 or 17, I just
Yep.
added ing to that cell. Again, 6.4.19, I just, smoking including vaping.
Before we turn the page, 6422, does that include drones, just for clarification?
Yep.
You couldn't put one of those like small toy boats that people race them as RC boats. You can't use that off of the edge of our park right
That's what we're saying, I think, isn't it?
now. That's such a harmless thing, I wouldn't think that'd be a big deal to let somebody do it. If somebody wants to take a $200-300 like, nice RC boat, and go fly it up and down the water.
Excuse me, Jessica, say that again about 6.4.22?
I was just wondering if that included drones, for clarification.
I don't think it should.
It talks about fuel or battery powered model aircraft, model boat, or rocket, or light powered toy or model.
So do you want to put excluding drones? Because drones are covered by the FAA, I think, or most of them.
Some of them
Are
under
used in
400
the
feet,
park
but-
for pictures.
Not under 400 feet.
Excluding drones.
Excluding the FAA regulations.
I would strike on the boat. I could see the aircraft thing being a safety issue, but I don't see what harm the boat could do. I mean, you can't swim in there 90% in the summer anyway. Let somebody else get some kind of a use out of it.
It's up to you, I'm not about it.
I just see that and I look at it like, well, what's the point of that? I'm sure somebody somewhere along the line put that in there because they had a complaint or something, and maybe we'll end up getting one next summer.
So straight model boat?
I would like to, if the board's okay with it. I've never used one, I think it could be fun. If you'll have to get one next summer, Bruce, you have to teach me how to use it.
Yeah.
Model boat or rocket?
Well, I don't, I think we don't need to
Just the
rocket
boat.
it.
Yeah,
Okay,
just the boat.
Just the boat.
The planes, I can see, it's not hard to hit yourself in the face if you don't know how to fly it.
Okay, section 7, just maybe more general park uses for all the parks. I think I've clarified the Labor Day weekend, so I don't have to worry about that.
Was it groups of 25 or groups of 10?
For the assemblages?
Yes. No, for 7 where Al is now.
7 what?
The
Well, just 7.
fees is based on 25 and not 10.
Making those in.
I don't know what,
Yeah, it does say 10.
Yeah,
God, our assemblage is triggered at 15.
I thought it was 25.
Let's make it standard.
Our fees for the park right now are 100 for 25 and less, and it's 200 for 25 and more, $100 for nonprofit.
So why don't we, whatever we have in practice, put it in here.
Right.
25?
25 or whatever it is.
But if it's also more than 15, it triggers the assemblages ordinance, so we should
But
have.
whatever is in the reservation thing,
Well, in the assemblages ordinance, they're not in,
I think it's 25.
is there an exemption in the assemblages ordinance or something that's approved to be held in a park through this ordinance?
I can't answer that, like, I don't remember that one.
No,
But we
I'm
can
just
look
like
at it.
thinking out loud, like
Yeah,
maybe we should
We'll
make sure
just have to
that-
make sure they don't conflict, that's all I don't want.
Yeah, I just would hate to have somebody have to
Okay.
apply under both.
Yeah, park rentals is 25,
Yeah,
25 to 1.
so we should keep it at 25.
It's even.
Change it to 20.
Group to 25 or more.
Okay,
7.3, confirmation of reservation. I just changed the wording around.
but does the park,
By the park director.
The park reservation forms will be approved by the park director.
that's how we do that?
Park reservations go through the town clerk. They get put in my box, and then I apply them to the book I have, and I pass it on to my supervisor.
So your supervisor's not, the park
He's not
director is
approving
not.
them, no.
So
Alan might be.
is Alan the park director?
No, that should say DPW
That's,
director.
I don't know that we have a park director, do we?
We do, but he
Well,
doesn't
he's a
do that.
supervisor, he's a park
Right.
supervisor.
Right,
Okay.
You're right, it's
So he's
not
not
the
he's
director.
not a department head, his department is under Alan's department.
That's correct.
But refunds have to be through Alan to the town manager.
Mm-hmm. So the approval should be.
It's written that way, so that's good.
So there's
Other hand,
so change the parks director to the DPW director?
Correct.
Okay. But that is a change from the way you suggested. Instead of going to the town clerk, they would,
No, it goes to the town clerk, issues it, Alan gets it, then if the people cancel for whatever reason, he has to overpay it, then it comes back to the town manager.
so then the town clerk maintains the calendar?
You all have identical books. Because it'd be crazy for a town resident or someone to try tracking me down during the course of a day.
Right.
So they call the town clerk, they look at the book, they make the reservation, the form's filled out, people pay. That copy of this receipt and the form goes in my mailbox, which goes to me, and I input it in my own identical book that I can pass on to my park
Town clerk's
attendants.
office should be where they're all the reservations are made to do that.
Okay.
And she's fine with that because that's the practice.
That is what we're doing now, yep.
This is exactly what we had hoped to do though, find inconsistencies and clashes and
Mhm.
remedy it and have an in-depth discussion on everything in here. Like, this is going exactly how I had hoped today.
Good, keep moving.
So section 8, day dock.
Before we go there, Al, how about 7.5 permit
Maybe,
revoke, denial?
yeah,
I think we ought to tell the person why we're denying them.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
So it should be with notice.
Yeah. Well, there could be an emergency where there's no notice, but they should be provided written,
Right.
a written
That's all it
notice.
says. We'll provide them with a reason. Okay, now I'll go to your,
Revoked by town manager with notice.
Yeah, so we've got no removable docks anymore because we did
With
it,
written notice.
That's what I thought.
right?
We have done that, right?
Yeah.
Then 8.3 watercraft. I was unsure, are we allowing watercraft to be tied up to the dock?
yes,
Are we?
We have no docks in, but I've had boats come up and just tie up and run to the store. I don't see where that's an issue.
Are we taking on any liability by allowing that?
I think it's we should say at your own risk.
Correct, because we're not providing any accommodations for them.
Right. Okay. At their own risk, yeah.
That's what it
a
says.
good- Yeah, I'll hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. That's,
Now, the removal, that 8.4 is gone on now, right?
The
They can
town
leave
does
that.
not, the town
Well,
does
you-
not offer, it's just
we were
express.
leaving it in there just in case someone looked for
Well,
that, but
Wonder where that would be from, the town does not. It's just
Right.
something, if anybody were to read this
Right,
under the
look for it.
previous,
Yeah.
you know, it just expressly says, rather than it saying nothing at all.
Cohen Park I struck because I added all
Yep,
that stuff.
you did good.
Now, I'm to 9.4 trails.
The forest committee should probably get changed to parks committee.
Park and Rec Committee.
Park and Rec. Yeah, and the DPW director is a member of the committee, so.
Correct, so you can strike that part, I guess.
Well, you can keep both of them in case that ever changes, but it would work pretty well given our current setup.
Well, I've been on multiple committees. One person's responsible. I guess I'm asking the question, should you, does he have the right to veto what the Parks and Rec Committee recommends?
I feel like Alan has a better handle on what needs to be done up there and who's qualified to do it.
You need somebody with practical expertise that knows the equipment that we have and our capabilities to be able to veto an idea. Because what happens in 5 or 6 years if the Parks Committee's still up and running?
I would say he has the authority to make it long and short.
Clean up the red trail.
Okay, so,
Hunting realities.
9.4.
Is orange the only color that hunters use?
Yes.
It is? There's nothing else? Okay.
Well, you can use other.
Pardon me?
That's what most people wear.
Okay.
Other states require.
You can make a red that's kind of like that, but it's not as visible, especially if you're hunting during foliage. That orange is pretty cut.
They can go to most of the sporting goods stores, Walmart, any of those. You can get a little
I'm just
copy
saying,
of that.
you're being specific with the
Just-
color, and is that the,
Yeah,
that's,
that's the,
For about $3.
hunter safety orange is the, yeah.
Still 9.5, okay?
Change Town Forest Committee to Park and Rec
Yes,
also.
I will.
well, you put some work into this one.
That's fine.
Very good job.
Thank you. So, I'll make these that I have noted, I'll send them to you
Yes.
to make other changes where I don't know, add the information.
Okay. And we'll probably send it out just so people can check
It
it.
looks good now, no changes.
You did quite a good job on it.
Approved it pending.
So that being said, the only reason why we did, the next meeting was on the Tuesday, right?
Tuesday, September 3rd.
So I would like to be in Boston that day. Is there any reason if I need to be here?
Probably not. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll buy a fat pig. Hold it, JD, pig. Remember that?
All game?
No, I'm not going to a ball game. Actually, I belong to the Counterintelligence Corps Association, and they're having a meeting on the 3rd. and
I should have
got down
known.
the night before.
I should have known.
Are you supposed to share that with it?
Yeah.
It sounds very official.
Well, now that we're all out, it's no longer a secret.
Oh, okay.
The guys that are still in it's a secret.
All right, so we're done with that one?
Yep.
We're gonna move on. Awesome. The last item, as we normally do, we discuss water and wastewater allocations. You have one in front of you.
So I'll take, if somebody would make a motion to approve the allocation request from Pizza Galley Properties.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we approved it. Ready to move on? We'll move on to schedule. Our next meetings are this Thursday at 2 p.m. We have a meeting of the Town Hall Relocation Committee. We invite the public to attend. Then our next regular select board meetings are Tuesday, September 3rd, given that Monday is Labor Day, and then Monday, September 16th. And then we may have another Town Hall Committee meeting sometime in September, but that'll be set probably Thursday. And then getting back to what we had talked about having probably a special meeting to talk about the May. We're gonna need some time to disseminate this information and get it on everybody's calendar, so we should probably look to like an off week in October and pick a date sometime by the beginning of September.
Yeah, I would like to see it separate from a select board
Yeah.
meeting,
Well, you get
so you can concentrate on the issue.
Yeah, that way we know that it's a lot easier to come to a public hearing as a member of the public when you know that all that's going to be discussed is the issue that's important to you. I think we'll get better turnout that way,
Okay.
so. If that works. In my report, I'm brief, I think. So, last Thursday, we mentioned Governor Scott came in and ceremoniously signed Act 76. We actually had some pretty high up people in the Bay Park all together. We had the Speaker of the House, Mitzi Johnson. We had an EPA regional director was here. We had Senators Parent and Mazza. We had representatives from all over Franklin County. We had the Transportation Secretary was here. We had
Deputy Secretary of the Agency of Commerce and Community Affairs.
we had a full ticket like that. It was very nice. We did it right in front of the beach sign by the stone house. And the weather held on. It was very nice.
Very nice.
It highlighted St. Albans Bay as well as it could have. And that segues into 3 days later, the governor was back on a bicycle with folks from the hospital and Rise Vermont and members of the community and some other, I think other state officials were with him too.
Was that a nice day? Was it rainy day?
Yeah, the rain held off till the afternoon.
And I'm sure, and I invite Jessica to add to that. I just wanted to highlight the fact that I was on my way home from work around 5 o'clock that Friday, and I drive by Cone Park every day usually, and Alan and John Montaigne, one of our newest members of the Department of Public Works group, they were down at Cone Park trying to tape the center line black, and they were painting the edges for the proposed bike lanes, and they were working really hard, and they were putting in some overtime that they didn't have to, and John was there working hard in the truck, trying to level that tape. The tape didn't hold, right? And I kind of had noticed that the night before. I said, well, whatever. So the tape really didn't hold. The next morning I drive through, I see Alan, face as red as a tomato in a garden, walking away from a DPW truck back into Cone Park, and then I see Mr. Frost in one of our trucks driving so that they could paint the center line white temporarily, and it was just, a lot of people came together to put that demonstration on, put in a lot of extra effort, both at Public Works, at Rise, and in the Frost household. So
He's a good sport.
Some extra volunteering.
very, I saw him, I was like, that Saturday morning, everybody's very stressed, I couldn't have got out of there fast enough.
He was actually home, huh?
No, it was really cool to see, like, a lot of people came together to put that on, and then Friday, we had.
I could just add to that too.
Yeah, sure.
I did go the next day to that Vermont Community Leadership Summit, and the governor was there, and he had closing remarks, and it was all about that bike ride and made a real impact on him. And he broke it down and talked about what the towns told him. So I think it was very successful. And I do want to add, the bike lanes on the Quam Shore, we did that as a demonstration just to show the community what it could be. It wasn't specifically for the governor, but it was a opportunity to showcase what's possible. And when it comes to getting grant money and the people who control the money for those sort of projects, you do have to show the higher ups what could be. And it wasn't ideal. The signs weren't large enough, cars weren't exactly sure what to do, but we did do some surveying. We had 2 volunteers, Robert Bassett, who's a town resident who serves on the Rail Trail Council, and then Mitch Craig from the city, and they were collecting survey responses, and it was overall very positive. And people said that they did appreciate having the bike lanes, they felt safer there, they'd love to see that project expanded upon us.
So you get some positive feedback on it then? Great.
So Jessica, how did the cars deal with that, those walking spaces?
We had signs demonstrating where they should go. I mean, one comment I saw was someone felt the lane was too small, but that's because you could still kind of see the center line. If the center lines weren't there, I think cars would know naturally where to go. But overall, Mitch gave us some really great feedback, and he said the cars seemed to know to move out of the way when there were bikers, and then to move back over when there wasn't a biker or a walker. And that's the culture on that road anyway. When someone's walking or biking, generally the cars stop. If there's another car coming head on, wait, and then go around. So I feel like the lanes really just enhance what's already happening there.
You bring up a good point. I've seen a lot of courteous drivers on that road. And it's not like you got the lead foot
Once every,
maniacs out there.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
remarkable how many people use that road. We
Oh,
talked to
absolutely.
one woman who says she specifically goes to that road to bike because she feels safer there.
what's the, at any given time, especially during the summer, there's more pedestrians on the road than there are cars. That's probably a statistical fact. Keep track of that. I bet you it's true.
But I would, before you move on, thank you for doing all of that, and your husband. But more importantly, what they did, and getting the governor involved, is expanding our horizons, opening up opportunities for us to look to the future and to know where the resources or the people we can contact for the money that we need to do these things.
When I was,
So this is, for me, it's the marketing of our town, which you really did well. And the fact that the governor then talked about it the next day is our marketing
right,
plan.
it's a success.
Yeah.
It was
Hire
a
'em?
success.
Pardon? Yes, we should have hired him.
Yeah.
But I'll end that discussion with this. Every Rise Vermont event that I had ever been to, and this last Saturday was no exception. Everybody, it's not like a normal political event with the governor. That Thursday for Act 76, kind of some eggshells a little bit. Reporters jumping down his throat at the end. Like it was a political function. He was smiling that Saturday. People were clapping every time somebody spoke.
Well, he's used to it. It's not like
Energetic.
it's his first rodeo.
Well, I know, but everybody was happy to be there.
So tell me this, did the cops keep up with him?
I'm telling you.
They're pretty fast. They're the ones who are very comfortable riding their bikes on the road. They're not the people,
The police.
it was my Rise Vermont job, who we want to target. Because, 60% of people do not feel comfortable. So how do we get the roads comfortable for
Well,
everybody?
sometimes bodyguards.
Oh, yeah, I don't think I think they're in a car.
And we've got,
Rickshaw.
65 miles a day. I mean, he rides a serious amount. Then we've got, Tim's House had their annual golf tournament last Friday. We want to thank them for all their good work. Hope that was successful for them. It was a fun day. We had, one thing that came out of our joint meeting was we agreed to talk again if we had an opportunity to put in some sidewalks that the city could maintain, that town residents could get some use out of. One of the big ones was extending Fairfield Street to the hospital's network. And something along those lines, geographically speaking, is on Fairfield Street. The mayor actually obtained an estimate that I'm gonna send over to the manager's office tomorrow. It was between $9,000 and $10,000, and it was for about 140 feet of sidewalk. So it's not that far out of line with what we received for an estimate in the industrial park when we did that. Again, he emphasized the fact that the city manager's office is committed to maintaining it in the winter. So that is something that I'd like to bring up again on the 3rd, having given you guys enough time. If we don't do it this year, we can do it next year, probably more expensive. But I'll get back with them tomorrow and disseminate whatever information we can. But that would be a practical thing to do that wouldn't cost us a ton of money, that would help.
So you're saying that we fund it through the NRC?
I know. The local option tax, there's gotta be able to find 9,000-10,000 somewhere. You've got capital reserves.
Okay,
I
so
mean,
let's assume we can find the money. How late can you actually lay cement into the fall?
as late as you can go. I mean, if frost isn't in the ground, you can do it anywhere.
So I would hope that we could do it this year.
I'd like to do it in September. It just depends on if the contractor that gave that number is still around. So I'll get that information this week and I'll pass that out to everybody. Hopefully we can make some kind of at least an informed discussion about it at our next meeting. We'll work on getting that.
Just one more thing on sidewalks. I had to go to a memorial service at Lake Robin Sunday. And I was amazed driving down Shelburne Road. Sidewalks on both sides, both Shelburne and the city of South Burlington put those sidewalks in long ago. And you see now the number of people and bicycles riding on the sidewalk on a very busy road. But between Shelburne and the city, it's not growing. It's just phenomenal. Again, that's future thinking. Just bring what other municipalities are doing, let's copy or Well, it's already been proven successful.
That's all I have.
And just to add on that note too, I was looking through, and I already talked to Carrie about this, but I was looking through the DRB minutes, and they had mentioned a sidewalk issue came up, and they were waiting on the select board to make approval on our sidewalk ordinance. So, just to find out what we have to do to make that move forward.
Well, Jessica and I are on the same page. I've been upset with our 2016 master plan. So I was down in the town hall and got a hold of Ned and Jen, and I said, what happened? Where is it? So they looked it up. I remember now the 2016 was an update to the 2003. And we spent money on both of these. In 2016 was 15K to do Boyce and King. I didn't ask about 2003. And we've asked a couple of times, where's our master plan? It's hung up in planning. We hung it up here, us. So I would suggest at our next meeting, the bicycle pedestrian infrastructure impact fee, we either accept it or forget it and don't do a 10,000 job here, an 8,000 job there. Either we're gonna follow the master plan and get things done right, or we don't do it at all.
I agree 100%.
You have to have the freedom to be able to do spot projects.
Do we have it at the next meeting? We all okay with looking at the impact fee and making a decision?
I am. Is that gonna be during a Boston trip? Well, no, we want everybody here, so it says next meeting.
Well, the last meeting in July, this was presented to us.
Impact fee, was,
The ordinance, this draft.
yeah, fine.
Oh, we can say.
And the other thing I would have is the health pack. Maybe we ought to find out what the status is on
Between the city and,
it. Rice Brook, the
Right.
St. Albans Town Highway.
oh, okay.
It's been a while since we talked about it.
Any other business?
I just had one other thing. So Kate Lattison on the city council reached out to me because a town resident reached out to her trying to get a sign, one of those quiet your ride signs. I don't know if you guys have seen them around the city.
Right here.
Yeah, so she was wondering if there's maybe some way we could partner on that. If we're-
I didn't realize that was such a problem.
I think in the city there is a lot of road noise. And it sounds like they're just trying to encourage people to slow
There's nothing
down.
wrong with that, I mean,
It happens daily in front of
Yeah.
town hall.
really.
Motorcycles, trucks and
Yeah.
And maybe we could partner with them, because it seemed like a pretty worthwhile, deal there.
Yeah. People in the town are interested. It'd be great for them to be able to get a sign as well.
I mean, how many
You know-
times Bob has.
You know what that's
complained
Sorry,
about
Bob,
speeders.
if you could just wait till they're done and then we'll call on you for questions afterwards. But we can't have an open dialogue. It's confusing.
I'm done.
Okay.
So I'd say we just, if anybody calls in, we direct them to the city. And if it gets to the point where we have a lot of signs and they're spending a lot of money on it, we offer to reimburse.
Are they asking for a donation now or should I just ask?
I would just, if you don't mind
Reach
reaching
out.
out to the
If
city.
somebody wants
yeah.
one,
Yep.
participate, and we should, as a municipality.
Yeah, I think if we're
reimburse them.
giving them to the people in our town, we should do.
Well, I still think you let the city administer it, let them pay them out.
Oh, yeah, but we should have a little bit on paying for them.
Right,
We're
that's what
not
I'm saying.
saying to put them on our
Not
town's
lots of pieces of shawls. Mayor?
I hate to bring this up, but should we also have a few signs here so people who come to town hall to pick them up?
Let the city.
We'll work that out.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah.
it's not a bad idea, but now you can ask if there's questions.
Any, Bob? Go ahead. All set?
I just, hey, you know what those signs are gonna do for us down here?
What's that?
When they hit the sign, they're gonna get right on the gas and make all the noise they can.
Yeah.
Just like that little box they put out there for radar. See how long they can keep that light blinking at
Well,
night.
if that's the case, then somebody will take their sign down. It's not.
Put it in my house, I'm going to.
All right, so motion to adjourn, anyone?
Hmm.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.